Monday, Donald Trump will be sworn in as the 47th Commander-in-Chief of the United States, and some Rockford groups offer insight on what to expect from his immigration policy.
WIFR news reporter Anthony Ferretti talks with the Rockford attorney who specializes in these cases about an overview of what they call a changing immigration matrix.
Immigration attorney Sarah Dady says a common misconception is our system works, partly because the immigration laws haven't changed in almost 6 decades. But Dady says that's an issue for Congress, not the president.
Immigration is a hot topic.
Roughly 90 people, including some city leaders, learn what immigration policies are currently in place and how they're expected to change once Donald Trump takes office.
Think about an immigration system like a highway. You know, if the road has not been maintained and it's full of potholes and lanes are closed, closing the road completely will not fill a pothole.
Dady says we need to give migrants more lanes to come to the U.S. legally. One major challenge is the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965. Because of that law, very few people are eligible for a green card, and visas are limited and take a while to process. Roughly 800 judges are working through a 4 million case backlog. Trump's border czar pick Tom Homan sat down with Face the Nation earlier this month to talk about the administration's mass deportation plan starting day one.
We would love to work in local jails, but sanctuary cities won't allow us into those jails. It's much easier to arrest a public safety threat and the safety and security of public jail than out in the street.
Dady says there are more than 1,000 people with deferred action for childhood arrivals or DACA in Rockford. She is worried President-elect Trump could eliminate DACA like he did during his first term.
I'm really excited to see so much interest in the community to find out more about our immigration system. Then we can certainly lobby our government for sensible changes that are fair and meet our interests.
President Trump's pick for Director of Homeland Security, South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, has her confirmation hearing Friday. She has deployed the South Dakota National Guard to Texas on a few occasions, calling the situation at the border a disaster. She's on board with Trump's promise to execute the largest deportation in operation in American history.
Thank you, Anthony. And Governor J.B. Pritzker said he would work with Trump's immigration officials.
He also says violent migrants should be deported, but he will stand up for nonviolent migrants, including asylum seekers or other undocumented people.